Welcome to Custom Home Builder Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing, full accounting, and profit management software for the professional home builder. In this video, we've been talking about various things in payables and how to post bills and how to handle various things with payables bills and select them to pay and print checks, etc. But after you have some payables bills posted, either they're unpaid because you're going to select them to pay in a big check run, or they've been paid, there are a couple of places that you can see those. The big payables transactions vendor ledger, also this video, by the way, I'm going to be talking about editing, what you can edit, what you can't edit, because CHS is very diligent about making sure that your books are kept in balance, things flow correctly, and that things don't inadvertently get edited when they shouldn't be, and they would cause issues with other things. And how good CHS is about telling you giving you some suggestions for handling that, etc. But first of all, to find any of those vendor payables that you need to edit, there is a big window that shows all of the vendor transactions. That's open full vendor transactions database, and it has many, many search features that we've been using in some of our videos. Lots more search features than the few search features that are supplied here to quickly open something. If you want to quickly open the vendor transactions just for one vendor or something, you might, and you want all transactions, you might click this button to use the minimum GL date in your accounting database and the maximum GL date of your records, and click this button to fill that in. Or you might just be wanting to look at 1 month, so you could type your own in. You could be interested in just one vendor or all the bills for one job or something like that, and open a quick look at your vendor transactions. And this is all the vendor transactions for ABC Foundation. And you can see things about it, etc. And if you decide you're needing to edit one, I'd like to show you what you can edit and what you can't edit. There's a pin note here that you can also look at to see any notes that have been made about this entry and why, etc. You can, if there was an uploaded document, there's a little paperclip icon where somebody uploaded a copy of the invoice. We don't have that many on here because we're just doing demos and we don't really have copies of lots of invoices. But if you're busy doing that, you might see lots of paperclip icons. If you need to upload one to attach after you've gotten it posted like this, you can use this upload icon, and I've demonstrated before how you upload things. If you're wanting to drill down and see, you can see these two records here were posted in the same batch. If you do several lines when you enter bills, on the payable screen for one vendor, it'll all get put together in one batch. This batch you can see was for the slab contract, and we deducted some liability insurance from that batch. So that's the point of that batch number there, is when you click submit to post your bills, and if you have several lines, they'll all be in one batch or just one line. Or it's not next to each other right here because of the way this is sorted. You'll see everything that was posted in the same batch, if that's of some interest to you. Let's see what happens if we try to edit, and you use the pencil edit icon on all these various ledgers. If I try to edit this, there's going to be some things here. First of all, you'll see some things that are dimmed out. It says fields that can be edited based on permission level. If you have different permission levels, there'll be some more things. If you have a lower permission levels, there'll be some more things dimmed out. Like if you have the lowest permission level, the GL account will be dimmed out, because we don't want somebody that's just somebody in the field that has nothing to do with accounting suddenly changing the GL account number, or the department, or I think even the description that is typed in. Somebody out in the field could be changing cost codes in various windows that pop up that are similar to this because they know the cost code. But there's also reasons listed over here about other reasons things might be locked. Many fields may be locked if the record has been paid. There's things by the fact that you've gone and included it on a check that you shouldn't be changing. And so we know which ones those should be, and we lock those. The job and cost code are locked if there is a PO attached, and you can see that there is a PO attached here, but it's dimmed out. I can't change it, and I can't set it to none. That's dimmed out. And if I hover over it, it says this button is disabled if the PO has been marked as done. And it says over here, a PO cannot be removed if it has been marked as done. That's, if somebody's managing POs and marking them as done, then you shouldn't just suddenly unhook that PO from some costs. It requires that you go to the POs and cost management window, look at it, and then uncheck it as done so that there's an audit trail as to who unchecked it as done. And from that window, you can actually drill down to this cost and do some editing there of the cost after you've unchecked it as done. So if you're dealing with POs and changing cost codes, a good place to deal with that is on the POs and cost management window rather than this vendor's transaction. Find it there. You can drill down on the actual costs that have been attached to a PO and do some editing of the cost code and the editing of the PO cost code so you can get it all changed. I actually have some additional videos about all of that, about how to use that POs and cost management window under the purchase orders area to do some of those kinds of changes. So right now we're dimmed out because there is a PO attached and it's been marked as done. So CHS, because PO's cost codes have to match the cost codes for the actual costs, or our estimated cost of completion would get all out of whack. Another reason that various things, especially the job and cost code, will be locked is if it's been included in a draw. So there's another reason our job and cost code, excuse me, is locked, because it was included in draw number 2, given to the home buyer. The home buyer saw it on a line for the slab contract. Excuse me. And if you suddenly changed it, that would make it weird. And I have some videos where I'm showing how if you need to do that, you should go open the Add New Vendor Bills, put a minus line in for the very same information here, and use this cost code. Then put a plus line and use whatever is the right cost code, and those two will add to 0, so you could just, when you post them, you can mark them as paid and maybe some odd check number like a 1 and a period and 6 digits for the date, so they won't show up as unpaid ones. It won't affect, it'll be a 0 check type thing and won't affect your cash account, but that way it will show up right on draw requests, as far as it was in this draw, but now we've given you credit for this slab contract in this newest draw, and it's showing up in another line, maybe canceling each other out, which could be explained much better to the home buyer. Then suddenly you drew $10,000 for the slab contract on the prior draw, and then suddenly that's gone. It doesn't show you drew for that. So you can't, it's not good to change a cost code on one that's been included on a draw request. Now, draw requests can be deleted, which means this would be marked again with a 99, and a 99 here means it has not been in a draw request. If it's feasible to delete that draw request, if you haven't really issued it yet and you realize you need to change a cost code on something. AR billed is when you use job cost billing. A lot of times that's more often used by remodelers, etc. And you can see videos, see the help information about that under draw requests, etc. But job cost billing actually is where it's marking the cost as being billed and put into accounts receivable. And so if it has an AR billed invoice number here, that's also going to lock the cost code because of how those are flowing, or the fact that this was billed out to somebody. So you need to do that reversal thing there too. This button, set PO to none, would be active if we didn't have some of these other, if it wasn't check marked as done. You could set this to none, and if it hadn't been included on a draw request or approved, which I'll talk about in a second, you would be able to change the cost code after unattaching the PO from it, perhaps. If they've been approved, check marked as approved, It says job and cost code are locked if OK1 and OK2 are checked. The reason for that is when people are doing from the field are check marking this bill as okay to pay, they're basing it on the cost code that was assigned and any overages or not overages. So it shouldn't be that somebody could easily come along and just change that cost code, because then that person who okayed it could be challenged, as why did you do that for this cost code? Why did you okay it? Etc. So then in that case too, if this was an unpaid bill, a higher level person could uncheck the OK1 and OK2 to get this correct. But there'll be a little audit of doing those unchecks about who unchecked somebody else's in the audit table. We talked about POs being marked as done. There's other special reasons. Maybe it's a specially created entry by CHS to go along with payables that might, if you look here at this area, there might be some notes saying, some stuff here that might give you a clue as to why some things might also be locked. I guess that would be in red up here if there was a reason for that. Notes in red. These approval fields are always locked on this edit window because you do your approvals with check boxes over in the unpaid window or on where you can approve job costs to pay. They're just shown here for information. And it says here that where you can actually do those approvals and cause them to be done. So the other thing here that you can see is that the GL date is dimmed out. It needs to be handled specially because when you post an original payables bill, there's offset entries with the same date they're attached to it. So we need to, if we decide we need to change the GL date, and if it will let us, we can click this pencil edit icon. And what you can see is that there are other things in the batch with the same GL and invoice number, etc. And that's actually a little batch for accounting. So we need to do our little search for the other parts of that entry that would also be changed. And it makes sense here. We did this entry of $10,000 plus we deducted $254 insurance from it. So we would want to keep this with the same date. So if I decide I wanted to change that, let's see, the payment date was on March 22nd. One thing I can't do is make the invoice date be after the payment date because that would throw our accounts payable aging off and make it wacky. So you can only post checks on the day of the invoice or any day after so that things flow properly for accounting. But I could change this. This year we had a leap year, so we could change it to February 29th if for some reason we wanted to. Let's go back there and look. And it shouldn't object to that. Now there'll be some other things that might be controlled. It says that the new date has been entered and all the related records have been updated, and that window is going to close, and you can see we now have February 29th on these two entries actually, because we changed that. There would be an audit, I believe, of doing that. User changed invoice date, etc., etc. So you could track that and why the date is different now. If I click to edit this one again, I can also, you can change the due date if you need to for some reason. But the invoice number is also locked because it's the very same reason. We have offsetting entries tied to that. We put entries over to the accounts payable account, etc., that are batching basically by that invoice number. But if I needed to change the invoice number, I could do that. The old invoice number is this because that looks like that was supplied by a PO, but maybe we need to change it to some PO, some invoice number they gave us when they gave us some bill. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now it has that invoice number. This is an invoice number if you create a bill from a PO that actually CHS will generate one that's the job code dash and probably the closest entry number in your books for your records are all have entry numbers attached to them that are incrementing one by one by one by one. So that's what we use to try to tie it a little. So that's how you do that, and there would be an audit of me having done that also. Changed it from this to this, and it shows all the related information about that. You can search the big audit table for all kinds of things, and we've gone over that. If you do look at the audit table, and you do this little question mark, there's a video about searching the fields on the audit window. And you use this show hide search row, which allows you to do some searching. Now let's take a look at that one more time. The other thing is there's an amount here, and you may wonder, why can't I change that? There's a question mark here that says, since this is a job cost and accounting program, changing an invoice amount can have too much of an impact on all kinds of other features available in the program, believe me. If this is an entry paid with a credit card, you may be able to edit the amount by finding it on the credit card ledger and using the edit features there. And if you go to the credit card area, you'll see some videos about changing the amounts of those. But a check itself that's been issued to the bank, that could have cleared, might not have cleared, changing amounts, especially behind a paid one, or just other reasons. CHS provides draw requests, job cost variance reports, financial statements, approval features, and so much more that could have been included in this entry. Also, there may have been entries posted like sales tax, discounts, insurance deductions, etc., that are related to the amount in this entry. To eliminate possible confusion and to provide good audit trails about changing a payables invoice amount is not allowed. Delete the entry if it is unpaid and enter it with the correct amount. If there is a reason it cannot be deleted, post an entry with the opposite amount and the same data to reverse the effects of this entry. Either of these actions will provide the audit trail that is needed. So that's the reasoning behind that. We really do want to keep your books in check and your accounting books in check. The other thing that an amount could affect is if you had job closing entries or end of the year book entries. So you really just don't just go in there and just change an amount. You would need to do what you can to either get this check voided, then delete this so we have a full audit trail of things going in and out instead of just boom, the amount changes. So that's why you can't change that amount. Now let's take a look at this one, slab contract. For some reason we think we want to edit it because that's a weird description. And we click the pencil edit icon. And it says, this is an unpaid bill. Please use the unpaid window, the payables window. And there's a reason that I do that programming wise, because those are sitting in a little bit of a different aspect, and we need to do all of our editing or deleting of unpaid bills. There's other things related to those. For one thing, they're a little easier to do. You can delete things. They're much easier because they are unpaid and not attached to a check. Although CHS still checks for things. So that vendor we were looking at, I now went to the home thing and click the unpaid payables. So these are your two, in a way, vendor transactions, vendor ledger type things. I already showed you all the various vendor ledgers, etc. on these windows. And my main goal here is to talk about editing, trying to edit invoices. So I've gone to the unpaid. I'm looking for that one, just for that vendor, so that I made a quicker one to open. And I was going to change that description. So if I do the pencil edit icon here and I want to change the description, I'll just change it to slab contract. I think I was demoing and typed that there. So, and there's other things that on the unpaid window when you're trying to edit. This one still, if you cannot change the cost code right now, is dimmed out because there's a PO, but look what happens if I set that PO to none. Well, I can't do that one because it's been check marked as done, it told me. So you'd have to do that from the POs and cost management window to sort of do some of this work about changing cost codes, unattaching a PO from it, and that type of thing. So that's what goes on when you're editing things over here. You can edit some of the open fields and not some of the open fields. This says if it's approved, if PO is attached, or if it's been created for some special purpose or if it's been attached to a draw. You can also use this window to upload documents, a copy of the bill by using this little upload icon. If you've already uploaded one, it'll be here with a magnifying glass to be able to look at it. But it also shows, whoops, I need to save. Told me I couldn't close till I got my change saved. And now it just says slab contract, which actually just looks a little better, so I edited it like that. So that's basically what there is about editing. These other pencil type things, as I pointed out before, are just for writing notes. That's why there's a T by this one. And this is a little bit for POs and work done information. And it's what the field would be approving about a purchase order. Notice that this was marked that the work was done, but they didn't write any notes about that, which you don't have to, but that's how you can look at that. So that's what that pencil, it's under this section for PO-work, and that's why it's like that. So hopefully, we talked about deleting already in some other videos, so hopefully that helps you. I think I need to do one more video about the split entry button that will show up sometimes. That has to do with if you realized you posted something to some job and it should have been split between 3 jobs or something like that. So I'll do one more video about that under this editing section. So thank you for watching.